Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show on Sikkim 365 Radio, presented by Brotherwell Brewing.
It's Gronkowski back again.
Here's Paul Catalina, Steve May, and Grayson Grundhaver.
Welcome into the Fantasy Football Show here on 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Steve May, Grayson Grundhaver joins us in a second. We're brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing right here. And please go visit them. And also like and subscribe on this channel right now if you're watching it. Share it with your friends. Tell them all. And Steve, for the second year in a row, we've brought in a very special guest, an old friend of yours. And, of course, friend of the show. Please introduce the friend of the show.
Yes, friend of the show, good friend of mine for many years now, proud to say. And we had him last year. And so we're bringing on lead singer and founder of the Grammy-nominated band Bowling for Soup, Mr. Jaret Reddick.
And here I am. It's so great to be here.
Jaret, people who may be joining our show new to this year may not realize the love of fantasy football you have, and can you pretty much trace that back to Steve?
100%. Steve is my guru. It's funny. In the last few years, I earned my sensei's respect and how it is that I actually play the game. But from actually my very first draft. He actually was, and back then running back was king. So it was like, you want to get as many running backs as you can up front, and then then it's time to pick a quarterback. And, it kind of, here's where you get your kicker. Here's where you do this. Obviously, that's evolved a lot over the last 10, 15 years. But, I still stick to a version of that I've sort of got my own way of going, but yeah, he's the guy. I actually won that year, the very first time I ever played. I won the league that I was in, and then I took a couple of years of just getting the crap kicked out of me by everybody to just sort of try and figure it out.
One year, he actually fell asleep during a live draft.
Yeah, that's true. Well, since it's a beer show, I can tell you exactly what happened. I did 2 drafts in a row, and I drank through the first one, and the second one, I 100% full on passed out in my recliner. And just goes to show you that there's way too long for the picks.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, I have one of the leagues I did a live draft this year, and it was way too long. And I wasn't even drinking beer. I was going to the hard stuff. It was, I'm surprised I'm doing so well in that league. To be quite honest with you.
So Jaret is doing really well this year, and from what I can see in DFS, and then he and I are in a league. I think this is our 12th year for that league that he started with some guys, some neighbors, and. So he's never won that league, but he's looking good. I've done well in that league every year, except this year I'm almost in last place. Although I did have a good week last week, so I'm feeling good. But he is. I think if you average it out this year and last year, he's probably doing better than me. So here's my theory on why he's doing well. So back in 2003, he made a deal with the devil. for a Grammy nomination. That's all he asked for. The devil said, "You don't want to win?" He's like, "No, I just want the nomination." Yeah, in exchange for holding on for something later on. And so he's cashed that in this year with successful DFS picks. So
yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah, I don't, because the thing is, I've never wanted to be a glutton, right? So whenever they would ask me early in my career, how big would you want Bowling for Soup to get? How massive, popular, or whatever. And I was always like, I want to be Everclear big. I don't want to be U2. I don't want to be, Green Day. I want to be 4 or 5 hits, and then just ride it off and just, plateau and just and we've managed to pretty much do that.
Well, look, I will say this, Jaret. You're much more down to earth than Bono seems to be. I don't know Bono, but I do know this that 5 years ago, Apple and Bono got together and they said, we're going to give everyone in the world a free U2 album, and they both thought that would be a good idea, in that they thought that between the two of them that everyone likes U2, and at no point did they think, well, there's going to be people who don't like you two. Everyone likes us. Like, no,
it's a big deal, man. In this house, that's a big topic of conversation because literally every time my wife plugs her phone into CarPlay, it plays the first song off that album. And you've never and if she's having a bad day, like that woman hates you too with a passion because of that. We don't blame Apple though. You know, like we like their products.
Yeah. No, it's great, but it's just one of those things. And that's probably a good sales job by Bono and The Edge going, oh yeah, do it. They love us.
Jaret,
100%.
Jaret's a little more sly. He comes in the back door with kids and the Phineas and Ferb and Chuck E. Cheese angle.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's just it. Well, it started actually with Jimmy Neutron.
Oh, that's
and,
right. God, man,
Happy Kids.
That song is still so good. It's on one of my old playlists, and it popped up the other day.
Oh, man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Neutron and Freaky Friday and Scooby-Doo and then finally, Phineas and Ferb and lots and lots of airtime on Radio Disney. So, we were the band that kids and parents agreed upon for so long. And I feel like we still are. I mean, that's kind of our thing where generations come see Bowling for Soup, where it's like, hey, my dad showed me your stuff and now he and I are here with my son, and that's one of the things that makes it all worth it.
So
Go ahead. Yeah, but I just want to talk about the theme songs real quick. The one thing about your theme songs I think are really cool is it's almost like you didn't set out to write a theme song. You set out to write a good rock and roll song, and then wrote the theme song on top of it.
Man, actually, that is an amazing observation by you because the way that Phineas and Ferb happened was they already had the theme written. So what you hear on the show was written, and what they wanted me to do was turn it into a song. So they're like, we've got this 45 seconds, and it's magical, but we want it to be a 3.5-minute song with verses and this and this and this. And so what I did was I took what they had, and I wrote a chorus to it, and then a second verse, and then a bridge, and made it into a 3.5-minute song called Today Is Going to Be a Great Day. And that's what they use for promo for the show. And also, we play it live on the show, not live. We're cartoons on the show and play it a time or two. But yeah, I mean, that is sort of exactly the way that I go about it. Jimmy Neutron's the same kind of way. It's, the chorus is so important to it, and the chorus usually isn't themey. Like that doesn't sound like a theme song. So yeah, it's definitely a different mindset, like when you're writing something that's specific to a show like that. But yeah, that very, very good observation, sir. Because that's exactly what happened.
Wasn't Greatest Day originally intended for a Tiger Woods video game?
Yeah, absolutely. Tiger Woods, we were pitching for, I think it was 90, like Tiger Woods. It's the very first one that he was doing for EA Sports. I want to say 99, but maybe it was 2000. So I did that pitch, and yeah, that song is so interesting because, I made that song, and the label liked it. They were just, let's put this on, Drunk Enough to Dance. And so I'm just like, sure, why not? I mean, and it was just a song that was sitting over there that Tiger Woods didn't use. And really, I was really close too, because we were in the bottom. We were in the top 3 to get it, but they just wanted it to be hip hop. And so that year they went with more of a hip hop thing. And mine is like super, super pop punk. Like right down the middle. Yeah. Exactly like what it's supposed to be. And that song ended up getting on so many movies, Malcolm in the Middle episodes, and Max Keeble's Big Move, the movie. And that song has made me as a songwriter more money than Girl All the Bad Guys Want has. Oh, wow. And Girl All the Bad Guys Want has a gold record up on the wall.
Interesting.
Pretty cool.
And then I think the year that Baylor baseball went to Omaha, I think that was the year y'all had the Ready or Not Omaha, Nebraska song for ESPN. I think that was the same year.
A big deal too, man. I like that kind of stuff. I mean, ESPN's been really good to me, and I've of course made friends with so many of those guys that are up there and involved in that side of things. And they were just like, hey, I think it was the first year. Yeah, you're right. ESPN got the College World Series, and they were like, we need a theme song. And man, it's just like Phineas and Ferb. I think I wrote it in 10 minutes. And I did a demo of it, and we recorded it 2 days later, and it was there. But they still use it from time to time.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
And you hear it like they say that they play it like when Little League World Series comes through and all that stuff. So, that was a fun one, because when you do things like that, where you have something that gets out of your world and into another world, that's when like your friends from high school start going, "This is crazy, but I just heard you on this thing," and then you're just like, "I told you I was famous." Like, I don't know. I've been trying to convince you of this at all of the reunions I don't go to. But yeah, that was a really good one. And then where sports is concerned, it's pretty constant here in Texas to hear us on Cowboy games and Stars games. And if you go watch the Stars or the Mavericks or the Cowboys, you will and Rangers too, actually, most of the time you will hear a Bowling for Soup song.
Usually Ohio. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, Ohio come back to Texas is a big one out there. Yeah, they the other day though, somebody sent me a recording of that. They were at the baseball field, the Rangers, and they were playing 1985 on the organ. Pretty good. Wow. That's pretty cool.
The weirdest one, and then we'll get into fantasy football. It was we were down at Jennifer. Jaret knows my whole family, so he knows who I'm talking about. Jennifer, my wife. We were at her mom's house watching, I think it was a Thanksgiving Day parade, and just in the background, they're playing the song by Bowling for Soup called "Life After Lisa." As some big balloon was going down. It was just totally random. And I'm sure I texted you like, "Oh my God."
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of thing too, where like, you don't know that's going to happen. Like they don't call you and tell you like, "Hey, this is going to happen." So when we're on TV on something like that, it's, that's when your phone lights up. It's like, somebody does your song on one of those contest shows or whatever, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, I tell you, the coolest one for me, I think personally, was I had no idea this was a thing, but I took my kids to Disney. I guess it's been about 9 years ago. It was with in my other life. So I was, before I got divorced, and we had taken our kids, my two older children, to Disneyland, and we sat to watch this parade. And at the end of the parade, it was a Phineas and Ferb float with the guys like hanging off of the float. And there's a DJ up there, and they're playing "Today Is Going to Be a Great Day." And then they stop, and that song is just on repeat. And they're out dancing with people and just all of this. And I'm like, this is crazy, because here I am at like the happiest place on earth. And, my voice is playing over the speaker, and like, my children are like, again, it's not a big deal to them. It's like when we go to Chuck E. Cheese, because I'm the voice of Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know if you said that, but and I go to Chuck E. Cheese. My kid thinks it's cool, but it doesn't really affect. He still likes to go dance with the mouse and get the tickets from him.
Yeah.
It doesn't like enter his mind to just go, "Oh, that's you singing."
Yeah.
It's like, it's just normal. And I guess I'm just loud anyway. So like, he's used to hearing my voice all the time, but you can't even walk through that store because I'm in the video games, the ice cream machine. I'm on the thing. It's just everywhere.
Yeah. I'll tell you, going back to the parade story, my first question would have been like, what balloon? I want to make sure I'm a cool balloon. Like, am I Snoopy? Am I like it's Scooby-Doo?
There was no relation between the balloon and the band and the song. It was just, I think somebody at CBS was just playing background music. Yeah. And it just happened to be
good deal.
That song, that song was kind of an odd. I love that song, but that was kind of an odd choice.
Originally that was supposed to be the second single off that record, and then we went and did Punk Rock 101, and that ended up being the second single. But Life After Lisa was written to be the second single off that record.
Yeah. All right, so fantasy football this year. Last year you gave us great advice that I used for weeks on Cole Beasley. Do you have a guy this year in daily fantasy that's this year's Cole Beasley?
I'm going to be honest. I still do go to the Cole Beasley well from time to time. It's because plus it's just fun to watch him. Plus I don't know what everybody thinks, because here's the thing that I need to remind you guys is that I'm not super invested in this to where like I know these guys by like personality or anything like that. So whenever I say something about, I have no idea what the guy is like or anything. But as a player, like I just love Josh Allen. Like I had to pick that guy last year on accident, or not on accident. It was like out of necessity. Like I just waited too long, and I got him in both of my leagues that actually have money, and he obviously I was stoked because the guy's just crazy. But yeah, my little secret weapon this year is Dalton Schultz from Dallas Cowboys.
Oh yeah,
I think that might be.
And it's getting better and better each week. He makes me happy, and I just love his mustache. And
he's a good one to talk about because, in my opinion, I think he may have peaked or plateaued because Jarwin scored the touchdown the week of their last game that they had. So.
I don't think so. And I think he's Dak's favorite receiver.
Yeah,
actually.
Probably so.
Yeah, so.
I agree. I think a lot of times too, like what happens is anytime these happen, obviously we know, then they start to look for those plays or whatever, and he gets double teamed and all of that. But I think if they're going to have another Jason Witten or a Jay Novacek, I think this guy's got as good a shot as anybody has had for the Cowboys. And I don't have anything invested in those guys. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I'm a Cowboys sympathizer because my wife likes them.
Cowboys sympathizer.
That's why I was in our draft. There was like 3 times where you sniped me. You took somebody so the round that you got Dak.
Yeah.
He was next in my queue, and so I said a lot of dirty words. Use your name in vain.
I'll tell you why I took him is that I wanted a running quarterback because everything that I had read going in was like, look, here's how the top 9 quarterbacks lay out, right? And like if you're in a 10, 12 person league, here's how it all is. So if you don't have Tom Brady and you're not going to get a running quarterback, then really just wait and just take whoever, which this year would be really wacky because there's dudes that all of a sudden just have been reborn, right? Where you're just like, why in hell would I have thought that Teddy Bridgewater would get points ever? I thought that was over. And then and then Tannehill too, right? Like I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tannehill was one I didn't draft him anywhere just because, their offense is Derrick Henry. I did get A.J. Brown in a couple leagues, and until last week, that really had been kind of a bad pick. But and somebody like Matthew Stafford, who usually gets forgotten about because he had been on the Lions, and I targeted him in just about every draft, and I got him. I'm in 9 leagues. I think I have him on 6 teams, and so far that's really played out well.
Matthew Stafford has always been my favorite backup, who I start as much as I do the starter that I have. Because quite frankly, I don't have, except for last year when I got Josh, I don't have the most amazing track record as far as quarterbacks are concerned. So I really always try to get somebody that I just like. And the Harvard guy too is the other dude who's the dude that's been on like 17 teams.
Fitzpatrick,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that guy again, like
he finally broke a hip.
He was the gift that would keep on giving all the time. You would just like, okay, I guess I'll start him, and then 26 points off the bench. Not too bad.
So who's someone that you targeted in a lot of your? Well, let me. How many leagues are you playing in?
So I'm only doing 2 now.
Okay.
I stopped doing. It got to where once I got up to like 7, it just wasn't fun anymore. It really just became me going through the motions, and really it just became more of just. And so I don't know. I mean, I just don't. I like the gambling aspect of it, so that's the reason why I like daily fantasy is because I'm not that invested in anybody.
Right.
I will say that most of the people that I targeted though this year got taken out from under me. I mean, it seemed like what I was doing to you, somebody else was doing to me, and it's. And people will do it on purpose to me because they know, like, I'm going to try and get a couple of Steelers on my bench or in my team. And so everybody sort of sees that coming, and it's just like, okay, well, we're not going to let him get Nari or whatever. And so both leagues, that I'm in, I think we didn't do keepers, right? We
turned that off.
We started fresh.
Yeah.
And my other league actually was the toughest decision because it sucks because I didn't go with my gut, but I had McCaffrey and everybody's like, you got to keep McCaffrey. This is it. This is it. I'm just like, to me, I just think he's too fragile, but I did it and I kept him and, look at me now, it's, and that's a big deal, in a keeper, non-keeper league, because in that one you could decide. So you could either draft or not. So I gave up, and I had done okay in that league. So I guess my first pick probably wasn't until 14 or 15, after that first round. So anyway, but yeah, so going back to the original question, grabbing Dak, I just believe in him, man.
Yeah.
I since I'm from Dallas, my Facebook is just full of people just hating the guy because Dallas fans in general are very fair weather.
That's right.
And I think they're not horrible in the fact that they're mean like Philadelphia fans, but Dallas fans are. I mean, they don't even, when you go to a Dallas game, they don't even watch the game. They're all on their cell phones the whole time, and then they raise the white flag and surrender, and but so it drives me absolutely bonkers that the fact that they've got this guy and everybody just calling for Romo's head, and now you've got the dude, and you're just like, everybody it just is done with him the minute he does anything wrong.
Yep.
I just believe in the guy. I think he's a good person.
Me too.
And he's a winner. But the other Cowboy, which I don't mean to keep it on Cowboy, but I just had a feeling. I had a feeling about Pollard this year. And I guess it's just because he's had to step up, But man, I think that 1-2 punch is pretty lethal. If they keep that going, they're
both on track for 1,000 yards right now.
Yeah, they are. And I'll tell you that the part of it is just Kellen Moore saying, look, I'm not going to be a guy who has all these weapons at my disposal and not use them. But, Jared, I will say this, and as a lifelong Cowboy fan, Steve and I both enjoy watching Steelers have pain. And
yes.
I enjoy watching old man Ben right now because, it's not the same. And I kind of laugh at that. But I will say this, Steelers fans are – you have to really be bad for a good long stretch for the Steelers to ever give up on you, for the Steelers fans
100%,
to ever
100%,
to give up on you. Cowboys fans who have the same, actually now less Super Bowls than the Steelers, but they're kind of the same historically, as far as winning the Super Bowl and all that, if you're not at the top tier doing that, then you're just wasting our time.
I do feel though now that Cowboys fans' ire has turn more towards coaches.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're mad at McCarthy most of the time, or Garrett before him.
Right.
I think they're finally warmed to Dak because they've seen how good he actually is, as opposed to, like you said, Romo's done, he's done. Well, here's Dak. He goes 13-3 in his first year. Like, yeah, but what? I don't know what you want, people, and what do you want? And the other thing is, he could not be a more affable human being. As far as all that, and you're like, he's nice and he's good. He's not there are quarterbacks. He's not weird. No knock on Aaron Rodgers, but he's weird. There's nothing you can say about Dak. Unless that's an odd tattoo choice, but that's his personal. I mean, what are you going to say?
Honestly, to your point too, though, and again, I will harp on Cowboys fans because again, I live here, and I'll say it to your face because what you just said about the Steelers is right. We're gonna we're gonna let Ben retire here. At least we're going to have some faith in it. We're enjoying what we can, and we're going to believe, and this is what we do. And we have to be pretty bad for us to get online and start to talk bad about the team. But you even have Cowboy fans who are just, well, Zeke's lost it. He won't be a Cowboy next year, And it's like, I mean, what? I mean, it blows my mind.
So Paul does a weekly show with Danny White.
Oh, nice! Yeah, so, Danny White's my generation, so that's.
I love Danny White. He lost. Well, the Cowboys lost 3 NFC Championship games while he was a quarterback. It's not all on him, and unfortunately, he gets he gets saddled with
Yeah,
that.
and he's kind of behind it. I'll tell you, the company that does our podcast, they wrote his bio, and they were like, Roger Staubach's backup. It pissed him off. He was like, hey,
well, I mean,
wait a minute.
to be fair,
he was for a little bit.
I know him as the punter of the team.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, he was the backup quarterback and the punter.
Yep.
Yeah, I will tell you this: the first day we did it, because I was born in 1980, so he was my first favorite football player. He was the Cowboys quarterback. So when my dad was getting me into football, it was Danny White. So he was my first one, and then we get to the first podcast, and I was like, this is unreal. But he's been great. Last year I did the podcast, same network, with Orlando Scandrick, former defensive back, and he's a nice guy, but he is he lives on planet Orlando, and so it was kind of a different thing altogether. But yeah, Jared, we're gonna do our daily fantasy draft here in a second, but I will. Before we do, I don't want to forget and not ask you guys. You guys have stuff coming up. It's great that everybody's back touring again. I was doing a football game while you guys – was I doing a football game or was traveling? I was gone. Big 12 Media Days. I was at Big 12 Media Days when you guys were here, I really, really was bummed that I missed that show because you guys are fun every single time, but super glad that everybody's back on tour and things are starting to be like we remember them, where you could go to concerts and stand next to humans.
100%. Yeah. I mean, man, Steve knows my love for Waco and how great Waco has always been to us. And, we've always had so much fun there and met. We had so many friends there over the years, and I've got so many stories about that city. It's cool to see it. Obviously you guys have always had the Baylor thing, but just to see how many things have started happening there in Waco. You got the Branch Davidians too, which was cool. It's cool to see something Magnolia and my friend. The lead singer of MXPX lives there now. I don't even know if you guys knew that. He was the last house that they built on that original show. Things are good. I mean, every show sells out now. I mean, and we're doing as bigger places than we've been doing for 20 years. People are just excited to get out and have fun, and I think we're a good outlet for that. We have a new single coming out in November, the week of Thanksgiving, I believe it is. That it's crazy, is what it is.
Is it going to be on? Is that part of the Volume 2?
It is not. No. Okay. So we went ahead and shifted gears towards the new album.
Okay,
and so
good.
This will be the third single off the new album. There'll be a fourth in January, and then the new album will be out around March or April. But our second greatest hit should come out in between all that.
Okay.
We're going to. I'm going to the UK with Rob, our bass player, acoustic, and we're going to record another live acoustic record. And there's tons and tons going on. Obviously, I have to mention my podcast. I mean, Jaret Goes to the Movies just went top 50 for movie review podcasts in the country, and we're in the top 75 in the UK, which is nuts. And Rockstar Dad Show, I mean, our listenership is like at 150,000 people, which is awesome. Amazing. So JaretReddick.com. You can find all three of my podcasts, all four of my bands, and I have a country record coming out later.
That's right. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, solo country record. I go by Jaret Ray Reddick on that, so it keeps everything separate on Spotify and the music sites and stuff. But yeah, man, lots going on. I used COVID, the quarantine to as much of the advantage, of content as I possibly could.
That's I love it when you can branch out and you can think about things and you guys are rock and roll, pop punk, all those different kind of genres you can put in, but when you can decide here's some of my inspirations I've never gotten to do and just roll a country album, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, man, it's the Texas country guys have been so good to me over the years anyway, because they all grew up Bowling Green fans, and so these are all dudes that were. I was just talking to Aaron Watson the other day, and I'm not even name dropping. I just think it's so awesome that all these dudes, we had Bart Crow on our show and Cody Canada sings on my new album. And, it's like, this is amazing, and that to them, they're like, crap, we grew up listening to your band. We would love to, have you along. So they've been great to me. And so I'm excited to get this out, and I mean it too. It's not a joke record at all. It's super legit, and I'm taking it serious. And my arm has Waylon and Willie on it, and has for years and years. There's just all how much I love Texas on my left arm, and I think it'll show.
I like Texas country. Not a huge country music fan, but in my opinion, I think the country audience is probably more welcoming. Up front initially to something new. So the guy from Hootie and the Blowfish,
Darius Rucker,
yeah. I think you're right. I mean, there definitely, when you get into red dirt and Texas country, it's a bit of a club. I talk to so many of these guys because I'm such a fan. And I feel like I've at least got a shot. I've got a foot in the door. And if honestly, I'm doing it for me. It's not a thing to where I want to sell millions of records or whatever. Like I just another outlet to go and perform. And
are you planning to do shows with just that content?
Yeah, my band is almost together, and as soon as I have my release date, I plan to start doing shows. And obviously, as close to Dallas as I can, so I'm not gone very long. So hopefully Waco is
Texas country is the bread and butter of the backyard. So that'll be awesome.
And now, strangely enough, old rap like Nelly and
Snoop Dogg, Nelly,
that's all Ian Vaughn, man. That's all my boy. That's he owns Lava Cantina up here. And,
that's right. You told me that.
Bringing all that here, yeah. And so he's the one that brings all those shows down there to Waco. I was talking to the owner of the backyard while I was there, just going, yeah, man, he's got it figured out. I mean, he's doing that. He's like taking Nelly and Snoop Dogg, his DJ set to like Amarillo and all these places and drawing, thousands and thousands of people. Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah.
But by the way, I just on the surface of how you write songs, you'll do well with country because you're a storyteller. You're not, you're not kind of like you. That's what like I always think about the movie Ray when he was doing his country album, and he was like, "It's the stories, man. It's the stories."
Yeah. And that's where it comes from. I mean, the Bowling for Soup, the writing of all of that comes from sitting in the backseat of the car when my parents, we drove everywhere up to Pittsburgh to see my family and up to Oklahoma to see my mom's family and all of that. And, you're sitting back, we didn't have Walkman yet or video games or anything. You just listened to what they were doing, or you played with your travel spirograph, that was it. And so that's where I learned all of that. Waylon and Willie and Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton and the list goes on and on and on. The Eagles are such a huge inspiration to me, and that's all just because that's what my parents listened to.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break here real quick, and we'll get Grayson back in to do our daily fantasy draft, and then we'll let Jaret go make 11 different albums and podcasts and all that stuff. So he's busy, and we're happy to have him. We'll take a break right here. We'll come back after this and do our daily fantasy draft for Thursday night, and then send Jaret on his merry way to continue making rock and roll goodness. This is the Fantasy Football Show on 365 Sports, brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing. Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code SICK'EM125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back into the Fantasy Football Show here on 365 Sports. Please like and subscribe. Of course, welcome once again to our great friend Jaret Reddick, who's here on the show from Bowling for Soup. And Grayson Grunhafer joins us now, and we'll finish out the show with us. We're going to jump in, and last year, Jaret, when you did this, we won the most money we've ever won. We won $4 a few times, including last week, where we were literally one guy off that I could not change because it was Donovan Peoples-Jones. So I'm watching the Thursday night game. Aaron Andrews comes on and goes, "Hey, Joe, Troy, guess what? You won't believe this. Just got a report that Donovan Peoples-Jones is out, and he was our last pick in the thing." And I was like, oh, my God. So I'm trying to change it, and it wouldn't let me do it. It was so close to the game. So we were Donovan Peoples-Jones off, and the guy who won had David Njoku, the guy who we would have picked. So we could have won thousands of. But that's how daily fantasy goes. I imagine that's how most like gamblers in Vegas feel when that queen comes out, and you could have been like, oh, I almost had it until the queen came out. But that's how it was for us last week. But
that was y'all last week, you're saying?
Yeah. We were one guy off,
crap.
and it was Donovan Peoples-Jones. He was out and found out, like Aaron Andrews is telling, like, hey, guess what? Paul, Steve, Grayson, your life's ruined.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
crazy.
remind me, what do y'all play? Do y'all play Thursday to Monday, or you play
This one right here is just the showdown captain for the Thursday night game. So
Showdown Captain for Thursday night? Got it.
So
Green Bay and Arizona.
Yeah, Green Bay and Arizona tomorrow night. And it's interesting because Devontae Adams is out. He's positive for COVID-19 while vaccinated. It means he's probably going to be back next week, but since Monday to Thursday you can't test out twice in 24 hours to play, so he's out. Also, Alan Lazard, who's not vaccinated, also is out because he's a close contact, and he has to quarantine for 5 days, so he can't play. So
how did all the receivers avoid that? Because don't they have like receiver meetings?
Yeah, I think it was. But the thing is he tested positive on Monday, so they had some time between. So yeah, but they all test. So if they test out, but Alan Lazard is the one that hasn't gotten a shot yet. So he's out for this game, which means that Randall Cobb and Robert Tonyan and all these other people have maybe some more value.
Valdez-Scantling.
If he comes back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They don't know if he's coming back. So he's on IR anyway. So the top three wide receivers for the Packers are out playing the Cardinals, who are the only undefeated team in the league. So it's a pretty interesting one.
So you get to pick a team captain, Jaret, and they cost a little bit more, but they get more points. They get 1.5 times the point. So
we usually try to avoid the quarterback or whoever's like really big in that one. And so you kind of go down the list and maybe pick somebody a little bit different so you save money on the back end so you can maybe have both quarterbacks later.
Right. Yeah, because this is a tough one. Obviously, both quarterbacks deliver. I mean, I am a Kyler Murray fan. I think he's one of the greatest athletes. I mean, maybe ever. It's pretty nuts to watch that kid. And, my mom is an OU fan. And so, being able to just follow him has been cool. Also, another interesting one, which I don't know if he's captain worthy, is Zach Ertz as tight end there in Arizona, who's already producing his first couple of weeks there, is going to be an interesting watch for this guy too.
So
right?
Your call. You're picking the captain.
So you guys stay away from the quarterback.
We don't have to.
You don't have to.
If you do, that eats up a lot of your.
Yeah. Because it's like, Kyler, because they cost more in this first pick because it's 1.5 times more. So Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers are 18 and 17 respectively. So that's going to take up of the $50,000 budget a good third of it. So more.
Well, let's look at running backs, because it seems like obviously we got. Adams it seems to be marked with COVID-19. Is that what you guys were just saying?
Yeah.
And then Hopkins is questionable and also very, very expensive. So that kind of brings us down to running backs, where a Connor, Pittsburgh guy, by the way.
Yeah.
But Edmonds got more touches last week, but Connor is the one that's got 6 touchdowns in the last 4 games.
Right.
Man, this is tough for me. I mean, y'all want to chime in on like Connor Edmonds versus like an AJ Green?
Grayson, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I actually have some pretty interesting thoughts on this. So I think that James Conner's rise has coincided for 2 reasons. So Chase Edmonds was dealing with the shoulder injury. So I think they were limiting his reps because of that. And the Cardinals have been blowing out their opponents, which leads to James Conner getting a ton of touches and things like that. Now, Conner is the goal line back, but I think this is the game where Edmonds breaks out a little bit, has his 5 or 6 catches, and he's been really efficient running the football. So I prefer Edmonds, but I get why people like Conner.
Yeah, I mean, and then as far as running backs go, Aaron Jones,
how much is he?
13.5.
Yeah, he's 13.5. He ran 19 yards on the last game. If Aaron Rodgers is hot, he's not really going to do anything.
I do think Aaron Jones could catch a lot of passes this game because Adams and Lazard won't be there. So,
right, that's a good thing.
And historically, he's been great when Adams hasn't played.
That's right.
I mean, Edmonds did have 81 carries, and he caught 3 passes last game. I don't hate that pick.
All right, do you want to lock it in? We don't hate it either. We like it.
Edmonds?
Do you like it?
Yeah, we like it.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
Edmonds at 10.5. Okay, Steve.
All right. I will go. I do think we need one of the quarterbacks in here somewhere. Where's the game at? Arizona or Green Bay?
The game's at Arizona.
Let's go Kyler Murray.
Okay, Kyler Murray at 12,000. Remaining budget 27.5. Grayson.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit deeper because I think one of y'all will probably take Aaron Jones at some point. But this is a risky one, and the only reason it's risky is because Arizona is so good against tight ends. But Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw the ball to someone, so we're going to go with Tunyon.
Tunyon at 4,600.
Good value pick.
Good value pick. All right. Like you said, one of us is going to go Aaron Jones. It's me. I love Aaron Jones. Actually, I've gotten the chance to interview him like 5 or 6 times over his career.
Name dropper.
That's a name dropper. But I've always and as a person who's a Cowboy fan, I'm supposed to not like the Packers either. But I like Aaron Jones. He's a nice guy. He's from UTEP.
The Packers-Steelers Super Bowl was like the worst thing ever for a Cowboys fan.
I will
in
make
Cowboy Stadium.
It was. I will say this, and Jaret will not like the story because he's a Steelers fan. But when the Packers won, I don't like the Steelers so much. I was in the auxiliary media area, which is right outside the Steelers locker room. So I literally jumped out of my seat and ran when I heard the clicky clack of cleats down the hallway because I wanted to see Ben Roethlisberger be sad. Like that's what I wanted. It was.
I get that. I was pretty sad. That Super Bowl, I was in Las Vegas because I used to go to Las Vegas to watch either the championship games or the Super Bowl every year with my buddy. And we were in this awesome auditorium and watching it, and the beer was flowing like wine. And it was I wouldn't say that it ruined my trip, but I was pretty bummed out. I did not. I wasn't. It wasn't a great day for me.
Yeah. All right, Steve, and then we'll let Jaret make the last.
We got two left.
Yeah.
And what's our budget left?
We have 13.9.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I do like Ertz, but I don't think I want 2 tight ends. I will. You just picked Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
And what's MVS's deal? He's hurt.
He's still on IR. They have
that's right.
Time decision.
Damn, man. Yeah. Well, how much is Hopkins?
Hopkins is 10.6.
Damn. So let's go Christian Kirk.
All right, Christian Kirk at $7,200, leaving $6,700 for our guest to make the final pick with, which still leaves you Zach Ertz, a bunch of backup quarterbacks, Rondale Moore, Randall Cobb, who stands to maybe see some more action. He might be the number 1 receiver.
Yeah, you also have 2 of the best kickers in the game. Mm-hmm. Which I think we picked a kicker last year. Mm-hmm. I don't always hate picking a kicker because, if you will see some of this. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing, right? The Arizona defense is pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's pretty
really
good.
They're above average.
They're above average, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. You know what? I really do like Randall Cobb. He's a former. He is a Packer. Yeah.
Went to the Texans and then came back.
That's right.
Cowboys, Texans.
Cowboys. That's right. Cowboys. I forgot.
The only thing I would say, the only thing I would throw out to you guys is, you guys okay with leaving that much money in there?
Yeah,
it's only about
money.
half the money we have left because we can get an Ertz. But also the backup quarterbacks are $6,000. So Jesus,
Yeah. Look, I'm fine with anything because again, the most we've won is $4. So, I'm not.
How much do we invest in this thing?
We invested $1. So
4 times the money.
I'm going to play along with you guys, and I'm going to put a few bucks into this, and I'll let you know how I do.
All right.
Okay. All right.
So you're going with
So you're going with Cobb?
I really do have a love affair with Ertz, but I do agree with what you're saying. I think Randall Cobb is going to come through, and Aaron Rodgers is going to make it happen. So I think that's our pick.
How much does that leave us?
All right. That leaves us 3,100, which honestly, you could swap out Christian Kirk for Hopkins if you wanted to.
Oh.
I think. Yeah, let me do my FSU math real quick. We have 3,100, 7,200. I think that. Hold on, let me take him off and see what happens. No, we still couldn't do it.
Tease.
Just a little bit. Yeah, sorry. I went to a state college in Florida. What do you want?
Grayson, you still like Tanyan over Ertz?
I do just because of the targets.
That's fine. That makes sense.
We did take Kyler Murray, so the stack is appealing.
Well, we got Kirk.
Also,
we have Kirk.
I'll tell you this: the Arizona's the number one defense, I think.
They are
against tight ends.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, it could be make or break for sure. The reason I'm picking him is just because I'm banking on them funneling targets to him. But I mean, it's definitely hit or miss. So if y'all want to go with Ertz, I am totally cool with that.
Let it ride.
Let's let it ride. Look, and here's the thing: $3,100 left over. If we do this, we're going to look like geniuses. So let's do it. Let's do it.
That's kind of why they do this to us, right? I mean, they want us to use all the money because the guys who win all these things go through here and spend half the money, and they just know exactly who's going to do that.
Oh my God, it drives me nuts.
Yeah,
it's so addicting now.
Yeah, who was the quarterback last year that we had to? It was like a game time decision, and they played the backup, and the backup had maybe Mariota. It's Mariota. Yeah. So Derek Carr, this guy drafted. No, Derek Carr wasn't even hurt. The guy just drafted Mariota just because he was clearly playing a bunch of lineups.
Yeah.
And drafted Mariota, and we had everything the same, but he had Mariota, and it was over. So that's another one.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into, the games where there's millions of people playing, it's all bots, right? I mean, you're playing against, you're playing against dudes in different countries that. It's the gosh darn Russians, guys.
That's what it is.
It always comes back to the Russians.
Yes, I know. Yeah, Red Dawn. That's what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll put a few bucks behind this lineup.
All right, let us know.
Hopefully, if I win, I can buy you guys some beers next time I'm there.
All right, sounds good. Jaret Reddick, Bowling for Soup, with us here, and always great to have you, Jaret. Enjoy having you on. Enjoy the podcast. I love Jaret Goes to the Movies. I love it.
Thank you.
It's really good.
Even better what I'm on there.
Yeah,
but,
Well, check out Rockstar Dad too.
That's a good one too.
It's really cool because you get to hear a side of a lot of musicians, comedians, actors, that they're talking about something that they always want to talk about, but that no one ever asks them.
Yeah.
And that's their kids.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'm a great podcast guest too. Just saying.
Are you a dad?
No, I could be on the movies one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, come on the movies one sometime, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Paul would be good on 5 questions. Yeah.
Why don't you and Steve should just drive up here sometime, be guests, you come in the studio, get a hotel, and we'll just drink a bunch.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
I'm bringing my own beer. Good Lord.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Jaret. Thanks a lot. Buddy. Appreciate it, Jaret Reddick from Bowling for Soup. We're back in a few minutes, and we're just going to roll through Stardom, Stidham, Daily Fantasy, and all that in one segment. This is the Fantasy Football Show brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing on 365 Sports.
Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code SICK'EM125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back into the Fantasy Football Show here on 365 Sports. Man, what a great segment with Jaret Reddick.
That's great.
He's awesome. He's funny. Listen to his podcast. Listen to the albums. I can't wait for that country album. I think it's going to be interesting.
It'll be good.
It'll be good stuff. And yeah, I'm sure he's good. And he talks about, if he has Aaron Watson helping him out, there's nobody that's more country than that dude. Mm-hmm. There's nobody more country than that guy right there. Grayson Grunhaver, you can see his pretty face now. Joins us from the Austin Bureau. And we had a little weird, just tell you, we had a little weird Skype problem. And Grayson was very gracious and said, listen, I'll just come in and rock you with my knowledge. And
he's on camera enough.
Yeah.
He can sacrifice.
Yeah. Also hosts the Bearcast, which you can find on 365 Sports every week with Craig Smoke. And all right, so let's go ahead, start him, sit him. We're going to kind of overlap it here because we spent a lot of time with Jaret. But let's go start him, sit him. Quarterbacks, Grayson, and again, let's see his pretty face.
Okay, guys. So at the quarterback position, obviously you're going to start the top 10. Don't have any ifs, ands, or buts really about anyone inside the top 10. I think they're all going to be pretty productive. But if you're going down the list a little bit, if you're in a deeper league, here's some names that I think could help you this week. The first one's Carson Wentz. He takes on the Tennessee Titans. He's been playing really well for the Indianapolis Colts, and since week 4, he's got the number 2 QBR in the entire league. So he's really been doing some good things, and Tennessee's a pretty good matchup when they're not playing against Patrick Mahomes. As far as the other matchups, Ryan Tannehill against the Colts as well. I think he'll be a pretty nice matchup for them. And then also Matt Ryan against Carolina, kind of a sneaky start as well. I think those are guys who are all very good, kind of lower tier guys who are going to be really good in DFS and in your lineup this week.
All right, Steve, what do you got?
Yep. So, you know what? I actually kind of like Kirk Cousins. I don't want him to win, obviously, but you can throw against one side of the Cowboys' defense.
Actually, you can throw on DeAndre Hopkins, or not DeAndre Hopkins, what I'm saying. Trayvon Diggs. So just looking at his question report. Yep. You can throw on Trayvon Diggs. You just can't do it more than 3 or 4 times. So,
and that game should be high scoring. The over-under on that one is 55, which is high. So Cousins, and for daily fantasy, he's only 6,500, which is in the lower range. Grayson mentioned Matt Ryan for season-long and DFS. He's at 5,900. And here, sneaky pick, I'm going to have him in some lineups. Trevor Lawrence against Seattle. Lawrence is at least running for some scores. And in DFS, he's only 5,500.
Okay. Yep. Good deal. All right, let's go running backs. Grayson.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's some pretty interesting values this week if things kind of go the way they're trending. So the first one, I love Kenneth Gainwell this week if Miles Sanders is out.
Yes.
Detroit is absolutely terrible against the run. And while the Eagles don't run the ball well with anyone outside of Jalen Hurts, they do throw well to the running back position, especially Gainwell. So I think he can be really valuable, especially in PPR leagues. He'll for sure score a touchdown, in my opinion, this week. So it gives you a safe floor there. I like Juba Hubbard to rebound against the Atlanta Falcons. I think this is the game Carolina finally wins without Christian McCaffrey. That's a bold prediction because they've been looking terrible, but I think Juba Hubbard will have a good week. And then also kind of another sneaky one that I think will have a good week is Khalil Herbert. He continues to play well for the Bears, and they continue to feed him. He gets San Francisco this week. I think he'll be very productive. And again, all of those guys that I just named are all pretty good values in DFS. You should be able to get at least one, if not two of them in your lineup.
All right, Steve, what do you got?
Yeah, I like the Herbert pick, 5,400 in daily fantasy. I like Darrell Williams this week. Kansas City, everybody's crapping on them. I think they're going to blow out the Giants this week. I'm going to assume Mahomes plays. They're going to get up on them early, my prediction, and so I think Darrell Williams will get some carries there and probably score at least one touchdown. And then I also like Zach Moss, Buffalo against Miami. It could be another scenario where they're up big early, and Moss will get a lot of carries down the stretch.
All right, wide receivers, Grayson.
Yeah, so at the wide receiver position, I've mentioned this guy for the second week in a row now, and it's simply because of opportunities and because of how banged up the Colts wide receiving core is. But I think Michael Pittman is going to be very, very good this week against Tennessee Titans. I think he is great value. Played really well last week, and everyone keeps saying, oh, he only had 4 targets last week. Yeah, but he also had 2 pass interference calls in the end zone on throws of over 30 yards. So, I mean, this guy was extremely productive in a rainstorm against the 49ers. This has been a dilemma for me this week, but I get Judy back in a couple of my leagues, and I am playing him this week. I think he is a smash play against the Washington football team, and I don't think they brought him back unless he was 100%. So Judy, great value.
I'm glad you brought him up. I have him in every league that I'm in all 3 season-long leagues. I am playing Judy in all of them, and for the same reason. I think that they were obviously very cautious with this, and the Broncos kind of know who they are. I think that's that they know that they're going to be like this because they – Teddy Bridgewater's the quarterback, and they're kind of waiting for who the next guy is, and I think that's why they were careful with Judy. But Judy and Sutton together, if I'm like Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers or somebody who wants to get traded, I'm not saying no to the Broncos.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying because they've got weapons, they've got I guess Melvin Gordon's a free agent, but they drafted Javonte. I'm all in on the Broncos if I'm anybody like that. So, I'm glad you brought up Judy because that's a really interesting one. He technically still has an IR designation because I guess he's designated to return, but he's practicing this week and he's going to play against Washington.
He'll play.
Yeah, they said he's playing. They already said it, clarified that. So that's big as well. And then I do have one more name that I think will have a good week this week, and I think he's going to cash in on the targets and just how things have trended. I think T. Higgins is going to be a good play this week for Cincinnati. I don't think they're going to throw a ton, but I think this is going to be Higgins week when most weeks have been obviously Jamar Chase week.
All right, Steve.
Yep, love the Michael Pittman pick. I drafted him in most of my season longs, and he's finally getting into that rhythm.
Except one.
Yes. But who's in first place in that league?
Buy a game. Buy a game. Michael Pittman.
So, I got to say, so I've been whining and groaning about my season-long team. So last week, I went 8-1. So I did very nice. So.
But back to Michael Pittman. He, in the league that Steve and I are in, Grayson, I needed that touchdown at the end of the game he scored against the 49ers to win the game. And I was trying to do the math in my head of like, if he just catches 3 passes for 38 yards, I can maybe get him. But like that's like a tough thing to hope. And then Wentz just heaves it up to him in the end zone in the rain, and he caught it. I was like, I won the game.
There you go. So I love Pittman. Awesome I think Devonta Smith is going to score a touchdown this week, Philly against Detroit. So, and he's both those guys are good values on DFS. And then if you want to go really cheap, we talked about him a little bit with Jaret earlier. Cole Beasley coming in at only 4,900. I don't think I would play him in season long. This is actually a good week for bye weeks. It's only Baltimore and Vegas, I believe. Big change from last week. So you should have pretty much your whole roster available to you. So Beasley in season long, only if you really need him, but definitely possibly a sneaky play in DFS.
All right. Anything on tight ends this week, guys?
Yeah, I have two names that I want to bring up because I think I'm trending towards this week just going touchdown or bust because these two guys have been scoring at a crazy rate. So Mo Alley-Cox has 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games for the Indianapolis Colts. And I mean, he's sitting there at 3,200, so really cheap. And then the other one is CJ Uzomah, who's got 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games. He gets the Jets this week, and he's sitting there at 3,700. So I think this is a week where you can really save some value at the tight end position. But if you are going to pay up, the one that I would like to pay up for this week is actually Dallas Goedert at 4,700, which really is not all that expensive.
All right, Steve, anything on tight ends?
No, both those guys, Uzomah and Alec Cox, I like. Ricky Seals-Jones could be a good play. I think Gronk is back this week for Tampa, I believe. So you might be able to put him back into your lineup.
Yep. All
and
right.
Antonio Brown is out, guys.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So that makes Godwin, Evans, Gronk, and Leonard Fournette all more, and maybe even Giovanni Bernard, even more valuable for the Buccaneers, who last week just kind of toyed.
Ugly game.
Yeah, ugly game. All right, well, that was great stuff. Grayson, always a pleasure. Fine, sir, and congratulations to your Colts on a great win in a bomb cyclone. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what they called it. And it looked like it on TV, guys. That thing was crazy. It was like 40-mile-per-hour winds and then a monsoon. It was horrible.
By the way, is there only one, now that Kittle's out, there's only one 49er that's a definite fantasy play is Deebo Samuel, right?
Well,
and Elijah
Mitchell did well.
Okay.
Yeah, he scored. And I do think there's going to be a quarterback change there after this week.
Well, I think once Trey Lance is healthy, I think that's they win more times than they haven't with Garoppolo in there, but he's going to be the quarterback of whoever doesn't get Deshaun Watson next year.
Yeah.
That's what I think. All right, that's going to do it for us. Please like and subscribe whenever you do, or all your beer will taste like Natty Light. We don't want that.
I guess they're not a sponsor.
We don't need their money. We've got Brotherwell. That's right. Handcrafted right here in Waco. Boom. Brotherwell. Go and get it if you're here in Waco. Or if not, just find a way for somebody to get it to you. It's just I'm telling you.
There you go.
It's not like on the black market or anything.
No,
I mean,
no.
just, so there's craft beer sites that people trade. That's how it works. All right, that's going to do it for us. Paul Catalina, Steve May, Grayson Grudenhafer, Hayden Bumpus, and thanks, of course, to Jaret Reddick from Bowling for Soup. This will probably be the biggest show we ever do, which we certainly appreciate. That's going to do it for us. Good luck this week, everybody.